This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team, and welcome back. It's Sunday evening.
Happy Sunday evening, Carey Ann. So good to see you tonight.
Yes, you too, Monty.
I always look forward to this part of the week because we get to pull the veil back on the wonderful topic of real estate and see who's lurking there today, this week. And there's some monsters behind the curtain this time, guys. Before we talk about our topic for the night, I want to remind everybody this show is dependent upon your questions. So please send those questions to questions@talkmusiccity.com or hashtag TalkMusicCity.
Yes, and this show is also a podcast, so you can listen at your leisure. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Music, and others. You can also watch us on YouTube or our favorite, Facebook. Simply search The Talk of Music City.
Carey Ann, we've got a topic tonight that I think that is so important. It's been a long time since I've seen something hit the real estate waves that's more important in this topic tonight. And we have a super guest from Midtown Title, Mr. Chris, who, how long have you been in the business for, Chris? First of all, welcome.
Welcome, Chris.
Hey, guys. How you doing today? Tonight, I guess.
Yes. Second of all, I have a conviction, Chris, that before people care about the message, they've got to believe the messenger. You've been around this industry for how long?
Well, when I started doing closings, we were doing them on stone tablets.
Really?
Yes, we were etching them out, and the things they were put in stone. No, I've actually been in the title business for close to 30 years now. It's the only thing I've ever done. I worked at Dairy Queen while I was in high school, but second generation, my family's in this business in Florida, and so I've kind of carried the torch.
So you understand it pretty well, in other words.
I like to think I do.
This is the conversation that you grew up with around the dinner table.
It is. There were some very boring family reunions in the Corvo household because my uncles were in it, my family was in it, and so all we talked about was real estate. So yeah, it's kind of just what I've grown up in, and so I get to work with great folks like you guys and get to share knowledge, and we're all teachers by nature, and so we just want to make sure that we're providing information to our listeners.
What I love about Chris, though, is I think we go way back. What is it, 18 years, 17
Long
years?
Long time, yeah.
I mean, so when I just started
Were you
the
in
business.
High school then?
Oh, I love
Yes.
you. I love you. Yes, we won't tell our age. But when I started the business, I got to meet Chris a long time ago. And so when he crossed paths with you just so many years back, it was like, I know you. And then we got to reconnect. So it was awesome to see that he's still in the industry and doing a great thing. So.
Well, I think I was just moving to town whenever you and I first met, and I had a lot more hair. And it was a lot less grayer than it is right now. But
and I was in a different position in the industry, so I was just starting out, so I was a processor, I think, at the time. So
you were, and I was not even on my own yet either. I was still kind of learning Nashville and learning the ropes and learning the people, and here we all are reconnecting again and sharing our knowledge with everybody.
Yeah, and still helping so many families, and still in the industry, which I think is amazing. So. Well,
Chris, we're grateful for you. And again, for those who are just listening in for the first time, this is Chris with Midtown Title, and the topic tonight is a really, really important one called all about wire fraud, because it's rampant out there right now. There's families losing thousands of dollars because of misinformation, or what would you refer to it as the topic?
There's just some really bad people in the world.
There's, what I hope for? I hope that these people that are the authors of this kind of stuff, I hope there's a special level of hell for these people. I really do. I mean, I don't wish harm on most people. These are bad people.
Yeah, they really are.
They are bad people, and they're preying on people at some of their most vulnerable moments, which is during a real estate transaction itself.
Mm-hmm. They're trusting their real estate professional, the closing attorney, the mortgage professionals. They're trusting all this experience to those who know what we're doing, and then these people sneak in a crack, and all of a sudden their life savings is gone, or their equity is gone.
Just gone. And all you got to do is Google wire fraud or real estate transaction wire fraud. Literally just put that in, and you're going to get thousands of pages of where people have just been taken advantage of. I mean, this is billions and billions of dollars that are lost every year to some sort of wire fraud, not just in the real estate sector, but all kinds of phishing information that's going on out there. So, there's phishing or spoofing emails is really what we see that right now is dominating our industry. industry.
Yeah, in being in the corporate office that we're in for a mortgage firm, our corporate office sends multiple phishing emails out just to see if any of our employees will open them.
Really?
So they test us on a regular basis because we want to be prepared to know what the right email is and what the wrong email is.
Wow.
I mean, they look so legit, right? Would you say they look so legit? Except maybe a comma is in the wrong place. The way that they spelled a word, there's one misspelling, or they're missing one letter in an email address, and we'll talk more about that. But it's just so close to be exact. And then what's interesting is it's like a funnel email. So it makes you open it and then put your information in. There's so many emails that are secured emails, which require you and I to get a secure password. So for me to get something usually from a title company, something that looks legit from a title company, they're going to send me something secure in quotation marks, right? Which means that I should set up a passcode, etc.
Right.
So if that looks legit, I'm going to do that because I want Chris's email.
Right.
And then I go ahead and I just gave the hackers the information without even realizing it. So it's so important for us to be professionals and study exactly, read the emails, just not scan the emails now, for sure.
Well, we live in a digital age,
right,
and everything's done digitally, and it's easy to go online. You can go online to whatever, Kellogg's, if you want to copy a picture of a Kellogg's cereal box, and you can put that on a piece of paper, and it looks like the Kellogg's recipe itself. So,
right,
and it's very easy to do that for any of our companies.
Yeah.
You can go to Carey Ann's website, and you can see her face, you can see her logo, you can see her phone numbers, and it's very easy to copy that and put that on another piece of paper and send that to somebody, and
it look like it came from me,
and it looks exactly like that it came from Carey Ann. So that's what we call in our business a spoofing email. People laugh at the IRS because they want to fax everything, right? It's archaic. I can't believe the IRS wants to fax everything. You know why they fax everything? Because it's the only digital, secure way to send documentation.
Wow.
Not over email.
Right.
So that's.
I think we'll go back to the fax then, and as a form of communication.
80s dress is back now.
Yes.
So maybe
I should have kept a lot of those clothes. I know, but nowadays there's electronic faxes, and so you can you can even get some of those for free. But in our business,
are those secure?
They are. Faxes are secure.
So any kind of fax, even electronic
faxes are secure because you're dialing a number and the numbers are connecting to one another.
But even for our corporate office and multiple offices, that's a fee that the corporate office is enduring. Right. So if very few people are using that service and they're using secure links, then why would they not get rid of, the fax line, type of thing to save a lot of money on your bottom line, right? Exactly. So that makes sense. But now all of a sudden, 8 months later, 10 months later, you see all the struggle we're having with secure links and things. What are true and what are not. So.
Right.
Well, what started the wire fraud is our business. We used to be able to bring checks to closing. And people would go to the bank, go get their checks when it was time to go sign, and they would come to closing. Well, the state of Tennessee has a good funds law. And what that means is ultimately if a seller sold his house and they wanted cash at closing, you have to, as a title agent, I have to be able to produce that cash readily available to the seller.
Right.
But in a case of a cashier's check, even though the check may be come from the bank and it's certified, it's still uncollected funds in my account. And so with the funds being uncollected, we had to come up with a way in order to be able to make sure the funds were immediately available. And that's where the wire was born, that you have to go wire all your money. I get asked all the time, why do I have to wire it? Why can't I just go get a check? Why can't I write a check? And that's the reason why, is that the way that the statute reads is that you have to be able to immediately produce the funds at closing.
Okay.
Well, and there was a lot of fraud on certified checks too, wasn't there?
Sure. Yeah. Even nowadays, people love that check deposit thing with your phone, where you can take a picture with your phone and deposit it into your account.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
You think about it. I just took a picture and now the money's in my account. What?
Yeah, that couldn't be.
Exactly. In our industry, we've had people who've walked out. We don't do it now. If you take a check, you're just done. But you'd have people that would walk out the door, go outside, snap the picture of the check that they got, deposit it, bring it back into the office and say, I changed my mind, I want to wire it. Then you wire the funds to them. And not only do they have the deposit on their phone already, you're sending them a wire.
You're kidding.
Whoa.
And so there was a lot of fraud that was just going on that. We're kind of off topic, I know, on that, but that's where the necessity of the wire came in, is because our statutes were wrote in a way that the funds have to be immediately available.
And like what you're referencing, these are not very good people. So they're going to try and go left. And if they can't get through the door left, they're going to try right, and that's what's happening right now. They initially started with the lending institutions trying to break through with all of us, and they found that we put a lot of securities in place,
Sure.
right, and did a lot of training and testing, et cetera. So if they can't get through us, they're going to try maybe a weaker link, and maybe that is, more of a mom and pop title company, that
Yes.
doesn't have as much secureness, and then all of a sudden that mom and pop title company is attached to the real estate agent's emails, and all of a sudden one thing led to, having the connection of
Are you calling us the
multiple
weak
people.
link?
No, but I mean, it does go
Missing
down.
link, maybe, but no.
I don't know if she pointed to you directly, but one of the
I
biggest.
think the systems are weaker, not the individuals, because I think we're all professionals. We all want to do the right thing. We don't even realize, like, I'm so gullible. I don't realize that I'm being hacked when I'm being hacked. You know what I'm saying? I just
Right.
assume everybody's doing the right thing. So
Right.
I think that there's so many of us in the world that get taken advantage of, and we just didn't even realize what's happening.
We have buyers or sellers that are just naive. They
Yeah.
think they get an email, and really these free email accounts, guys, if you're listening, the Gmails, the Yahoos, the AOLs, yes, they are free and they're fantastic. They're easy to use, but you're better off standing on the street corner and just yelling what's in your email.
Wow.
Because there's just zero security. You're not paying for anything.
Sure.
So there's just a zero security on these emails. So if you're using these, I have a free email account, but when I'm filling out stuff that I don't want to get emails for, I fill that
Right.
out. But I don't do my business on that free email account because there's just no security on it.
Yeah, this is, it's just a topic that is such a sensitive one right now. And it's even so sensitive that we sometimes don't even want to talk about it because you're like, that doesn't happen to me. That doesn't happen to you. At the end of the day, it happens to all of us in this industry. One bad person is just going to want to take us all down. They're not just...
It's just hard to believe that people are that bad, that they would sit and pray like that at a time where it's supposed to be, folks are supposed to be rejoicing, they're buying a home, and all of a sudden, all their money is gone. And there's no recourse. I thought it'd be like a check. I mean, not like a check, but a credit card that there would be some sort of
dispute
a
it.
limit. Your $500 limitation or something to your exposure.
Well, I got some crazy statistics here. I know we're getting the point here to have to be taking a break here in a minute,
Yes,
but
well,
I got
let's-
some crazy statistics.
Oh, we can't wait to hear them. So, let's take a short break. But when we come back, let's talk about who's really being targeted. Chris says he's got some great and crazy statistics. You've been listening to the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Are you someone who is looking to gain wealth through real estate? My name is Carey Ann Cyr, and I'm with CMG Financial and my mortgage team. Whether you're looking to purchase your first home, a second home, or even an investment property, my team and I, we specialize in making the process of homeownership smooth as possible. With our vast variety of mortgage programs, our competitive interest rates, and our local support center, we have the ability to serve so many deserving families and help find just the right mortgage program to fit within your short and long-term financial goals. Mortgage loans is what we know, and approving them is what we do. We'd be honored to help you begin the process today. Check us out at yourtnlendingsolution.com. That's yourtnlendingsolution.com. Or give us a call, always a friendly voice, 615-456-4456. That's 456-4456. We look forward to helping you and beginning your mortgage application today.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here, Realty One Group, Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Carey Ann, what an important topic tonight.
It is.
This just by listening to this, all those real estate agents out there that are listening right now, and those homeowners, we're going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially. How important is that?
It's huge. Chris Corvo here with Midtown is going to help answer a lot of our questions. He sees it each and every day being part of a title company. And again, like we were talking before, for those people that are just joining us, if the hackers out there, those bad people out there can't get through one direction, they're going to try to go through another direction. And so they really work hard to try to hack through the lending institutions. If they can't do that, they're going to then move in a direction of title and even real estate, So, and that's not to scare all of us. It's just for all of us to be aware, right? To really take a moment and truly read our emails. We were talking earlier before the show that some of these emails and some of these things and disclaimers we put on there just become art pieces. It
Right.
just looks like an art piece
like
now.
white
No one,
noise.
no one reads those. And it's really important that we take a moment and read those because, it could save all of us so much money, time, and et cetera. We'll go into the other part of the rest of the story later, I think, too, which could possibly be lawsuits and things, right?
Well, Chris, you've seen some, I guess, right?
We have, yeah. Like Carey Ann said, and I loved you pointed out that you guys were kind of the first line where the people were going to. Why? People go where the money's at.
Right.
It's pretty simple. They want to go. If you go rob a bank, I mean, if you're a bank robber and you want to rob somebody, where do you go? You go to the bank,
right?
Because there's money there. And the same way with you, the mortgage companies, that's where the first line that they would go to.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got a lot smarter and a lot more sophisticated with how you do business. They moved on to us because we're the middle person. We handle the money. We probably get 15, 20. Each one of my employees probably gets 15, 20 emails a day of somebody trying to ask them to release information or pry information away to do that. And we train just like you guys do, Carey Ann. And then so what these hackers have done is they've moved on down the line. And now they're down to the realtor right now who may not have as much experience looking at the stuff that we look at. And then even more so down to the consumer, who, as it's not a bad term of a layperson, but they just don't have any experience in this kind of stuff, and they trust their providers blindly a lot of times. And these emails are coming in, and they're just clicking on them and reading them and providing information, thinking they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
my first experience was about with you guys was about probably 2-3 months ago. And one of our clients, I mean, she admitted she was one click. Just something told her in her heart that this isn't right. And one click and her whole savings would have gone away. And that's when I was like, had this rude awakening. It's like, are you kidding? Well, what happens to it? Surely the government or somebody gives it back to you, but it's gone. So what about the lender or the bank that this money is diverted through? Well, they don't care. What do you mean they don't care? How can they not care? I mean, this is somebody's life. I mean, I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away when this first came up about a month and a half ago.
Oh yeah, we had a situation where the client got a clear to close video, email, which was interesting because we never would say the words out. We would say CTC or something, and ours comes in a video form. But this came across from the title company in quotations.
Using the terminology clear to close?
They said clear to, this is what got me confused, because how did they know that the loan was clear to close, right? So, but one word in that sentence was misspelled and a couple commas were in the wrong area, right? And then the customer's daughter just bought her house recently, and she forwarded that email to her and said, does this look right to you? Did you get the same email? And we just happened to help that same customer, the daughter, and she never got that email. And then she was smart enough to look to see that the title company's email address was off by one letter.
One letter or digit.
One letter.
Right.
Or it was instead of .com, it was .co, right? And something like that. So that was the flag. But literally, it got me thinking, how did this person know that they were clear to close? Well, then I started researching that some of these hackers are really smart. I mean, they're thinking...
It's very sophisticated.
They are thinking 2 steps.
Well, think about the money involved. They can afford to be sophisticated, get the best help when you're bringing in that kind of money.
Yeah. No, well, they could have hacked title and the real estate agent, because the only person that gets the title company doesn't get the clear to close video. It's the lender, the client, and the real estate agent.
Right.
Well, we found out hacked the title company's email a month ago, which got connected to the real estate, not yours. Yeah, but again, you just never know if it's a smaller without specific systems in place or precautions in place, right?
Sure.
Is that what you say?
Yeah, just
it could happen to anybody.
Measures.
Yeah,
Sure.
Protective measures, yeah. So then they kept the real estate's information, and then that's how they got the information. So they watched it and waited patiently, and they were patient. And this was talking about $125,000 that she was supposed to wire, and she was smart enough to pause, forward it to the daughter, and then that's where it all was found.
So this is $12 billion problem that we're seeing right now.
Wow.
And so it's really hard to get money out of the country. It's not. You can't just go to your local bank and say, I want to wire $100,000 out of the country internationally.
Right.
So very few banks actually handle international wire transfers, which is why the fraudsters are always sending emails several days, if not weeks in advance to the homeowners, trying to convince them to send the money. Because they want the money to get to the banks so it has time to get out of the country. And by the time the closing comes around and people are looking for the money, the money's it's already been gone.
And there's no way to get it back.
And there's no way to get it back. It'll go to one bank, and if they clear that hurdle, and then it'll hit about 10 to 15 banks, and then it'll hit maybe 10 more banks on the way out. Why? Because you can't trace it. They want the money untraceable, so you cannot find it once it's been sent out.
Wow.
And
Yeah. No, you were talking about some crazy statistics. So let's jump in. Who is really being targeted here, Chris?
I mean, really everybody's being targeted. Like I said before, bank robbers go to banks to rob it. Why? Because the money's in there. So you have realtors, title companies, buyers, sellers, anyone who's in the process of sending or receiving money are targets for this kind of fraud.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do they know that? Is it because it's in the subject line? We're referencing something real estate within the subject line?
Yeah, they just monitor emails. Like you said, sometimes they can sit and lurch for months, maybe even years. They just sit there and just monitor that.
And then that just gives me goosebumps. That's just like,
oh man,
I have even seen
scary.
I've even seen, when somebody's been, so there's a difference between spoofing or phishing and hacking. A spoof or a phishing email is somebody pretending to be you, but it's not really you.
Right.
It's another email address where they've changed the name and it looks like it's come from you. A hack is, like you said, is when somebody's inside the system and they're acting as you within the system. And I've even seen people who've been hacked before. That means somebody's in their system and they'll create rules on their emails that say if any word that comes in that says wire or closing funds or transfer, they'll have 4 or 5 key words on there. And really in Microsoft, I mean, any email product you can set up and do this, where you can set rules where if it says certain words, you can divert that email to another account. And so they would have a secondary email that it would funnel into, and so they knew every email that just pertained to money transfers that would come in.
Crazy.
And then they would start responding to these folks. But really 1 in every 99 emails is a phishing attack anymore.
1 out of 99 emails?
And this is worldwide. Like I said, we get probably 15 or 20 a day. There's been a 65% increase in phishing attacks through 2016 and 17. And in 2018, 83% of the people worldwide have got phishing attacks, emails. So that's pretty much everybody in the world.
Yeah.
If you have an email address, you're getting targeted by these people trying to convince you to send money or provide credentials to your bank accounts or your.
So we don't have any choice other than to make some changes in our daily behavior when it comes to email.
Yes, if you're sending stuff electronically over the internet, you're a target.
Well, what's so scary is we're trained in our marketing, academies, et cetera, to email our consumers, right? And use different marketing, comments and I want to say the word tactics, but ways to create enough curiosity, right? And so other people are doing the same thing, that we're doing. So that's normal. Like some of the emails that I see, I just think that's normal advertising. Now I'm smart enough to know that I'm just not going to open that, at all, because I'm actually scared to death to open anything unless I know who you are. And even sometimes consumers email me. And so, when the email comes across, sometimes it's whatever your nickname is, in Gmail and stuff. So sometimes I think it's a false email anyways. And it's actually a legit client, that's trying to email because it's however they set up their email address and things. But, it's just interesting because we're so accustomed to opening those to see what the next sale is or what the next thing is, where they could actually be hacking right into our systems right then and there, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I definitely want to go over some examples of stuff that we've seen as early as last week. We've had people who have fraudulently sent money to different places.
That's crazy.
It's
a scary thing for sure, everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to take a short break. We've got Chris here, Corvo with Midtown Title. You've been listening to the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Hi, my name is Monte Mohr. I'm the broker-owner of Realty One Group Music City. I've been an active real estate broker for over 35 years now, personally selling thousands of homes. That's why I recently opened Tennessee's first Realty One Group office. As a real estate professional, would you like having it all? Cutting-edge technology, full support, world-class training, same-day commission deposits, all for free? How about strong collaborative culture, national brand recognition, new high exposure, easy access office, and a non-competing broker committed to your success 7 days a week? Now let's top that off with all experienced agents receiving 100% of their commission from day one. I know, where's the catch, right? There is no catch. Call us today and schedule a confidential meeting and learn why Realty One Group is the fastest growing real estate franchise in the nation. Call 636-8244. That's 615-636-8244. Or go to topagentsuccess.com. That's topagentsuccess.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the talk of Music City real estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here, Realty One Group, Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
What a crazy topic, huh, Carey Ann?
Yeah, scary.
So glad to have Chris here. Hey, we want to remind everybody this show is dependent upon your questions, so please send those questions to questions@talkmusiccity.com or hashtag #TalkMusicCity. And thank you so much for them. We love pulling the veil back and answering any kind of real estate question that you might come to mind, or mortgage question.
Absolutely, and this one is a hard one to pull back because do we talk about it, not talk about it? But it's such a
frustrating
strong,
one.
Yeah,
God, it's hard for me not to hate these people.
I'm assuming our listeners are in a fetal position right about now, scared about what we're talking about.
It is scary, my gosh.
It's very scary.
People, I've said in so many different venues, and especially this one, if people would just use their powers for good, think about how fabulous this world would be.
Right.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said most people just assume their bank would cover them, and there's just no recourse for the banks because the people freely go to the bank and they freely wire this money.
They tell them to do this.
Yeah, and so nobody's holding them hostage and forcing them to do that. So the banks go, there's nothing I can do. You approved it and initiated this transfer. We just did what you said.
That's what really shocked me. Like I said a few months ago, I just kept thinking, well, surely somebody's going to step in and be responsible for this. So surely it's not the unsuspecting homeowner that clicked a button one time and all of a sudden the money is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little more sophisticated than that. Like Carey Ann and I were talking about, that people get their emails hacked or spoofed, and then these hackers start communicating, and literally the buyers or sellers think that they're talking to their real estate agent or their mortgage company or their title company.
I mean, it's signed by so and so from title company blank that I've had a conversation with. So why would it not be?
Right.
Yep. So we had a customer that as late as last week, they ended up wiring $175,000, and they called. They weren't working with us. We were representing one party of the transaction. They were actually working with another attorney here in town, another very prominent attorney in town. And eventually, the attorney called and said, "Hey, did you get our buyer's money?" And we're going, "Huh? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What money? We didn't send anything over to send the money." No, the buyer said that you guys communicated with them and was sending the money and all this. And we're going, "No, that was not us." And after everything was all said and done, they determined that the buyer was communicating with this fraudster through the realtor's email account.
Yeah.
And the buyer ended up wiring $175,000. They were paying cash for this piece of property to the fraudsters. And nobody even knew till the day of closing. And that's the worst nightmare. I mean,
and that money is just gone.
Just gone.
I mean, just to think, there was a time in life that to lose $1,000,
Yeah,
$5,000, $10,000, $175,000.
And this person
oh my
was
gosh,
so distraught. This was their life savings.
Sure.
That was gone. I do have a success story on that, though, so I don't want to be all doom and gloom.
Sure.
Can we talk about our success story?
No,
on
Yes.
I didn't know there were any, but please.
Very few.
Can you
but,
flip the frown upside down there, Chris?
Yes.
Help us with that.
So we did have a client who did end up wiring 90. This was an employee's family that did this.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
even the worst. Okay, an
Right.
employee of mine's family. Our employee handed the family the wiring instructions, but they were still getting the fake emails, and they thought it was legit, and they went and wired $90,000. And they were so excited that they wired the money early that they called him and told him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was the best thing
that could have
early.
that could have happened.
Yeah.
Because the quicker that somebody knows that it's happened, the better your chances are of stopping the money from going out.
Wow.
And so what we were able to do is they contacted their bank, actually had a credit union is who they worked with, and they were very proactive, very, very proactive. They contacted the bank where the money went to. In that particular case, the fraudster actually was saying that the person meant to send them the money, and they were disputing that the account was fraudulent. We had to end up
Holy cow.
getting a hold of the emails and showing where they had basically changed the wiring instructions from our letterhead and put their information on there, which is once that was produced to the bank. And I want to say the bank was a national bank, but they were not very helpful. But that they were able to release the money. It took the customer about 2 weeks to get their money. But guess what? They were unable to close on their house. Because their money was gone, and but they did get every single dollar back. But another part of that, the bank says we can't guarantee how much you're going to get back, even if you get any back, because there could be several people laying claim to those funds. So if you even have any chance of getting your money back, there's still a chance you don't get it back.
We talked earlier too about scripting. So for any of our audience out there, it starts with the professionals, having that conversation on the upfront, whether we're talking about, not co-signing or opening any new accounts, and not wiring any money, to anybody. We tell you all of that information up front because we want to share with you these stories of concern or what could happen. In some days, and in some transactions, because we help so many people, even though you say that, 2 or 3 weeks later happens, Macy's is having a sale and they open a new credit card to get the discount, or they didn't realize that their kid, they needed that new car, so they went ahead and co-signed. Example, they just, you told me not to wire any money, but I got this email, and like you said, I wanted to be proactive. I have a very stressful job. I won't have time next week. I have the instructions here now. I'm just going to go ahead and do whatever the LE said. Sometimes they even want to send the money before the closing disclosure even goes out, right?
They're anxious.
Yeah, they're just excited just to be done with it, you know? And so it takes a village, I always say, to close a successful, purchase, right? From the mortgage company to the title company to the real estate, everybody included. And so if we're all scripting and saying the same things and we're singing in unison, and in harmony with one another, that we're all really just sitting people down and like, look me in the eye. I'm telling you that this is a serious...
Do not do this.
Yeah, right. And I think maybe we even go as far as having them sign a document. I mean, I'm talking about how do I have it in my email script. I speak to them about it. We have it in different forms. What other methods can I do? Do we have them ink sign something just to make sure, would the customer be more frustrated in signing more documents? And are you even reading the document that you're signing? That's the question, right?
Yeah, well, I think it can't be included with everything else. I think you really need to isolate this and make it separate. I took a listing the other night and I put that on the top of the pile rather than on the bottom of the pile.
So they're not tired.
You'd think that would be, kind of an afterthought.
Sure.
No, let's talk about this first because this is real. Let's avoid this.
Smart. Love that idea.
So you got a form, a wire fraud form?
We have a document that that everybody has to sign that does business with us that do not fall prey to these kind of idiots.
Now, is that a TAR form, like a real estate form, as in a corporate, or is that something that you wanted to add just to
make sure? My wonderful wife, Connie Sue, included it in our file. That's all I know. I don't know who the author did. All I know is
we'll give her credit
that it was inspired by Chris and the information.
But I think that's so important, right? I mean, I think that is so important because I, as the consumer, if you were my agent, I would be so thankful for you to take pause, make me stop, and actually hear these stories. The other thing is we're not telling these stories. I do think we need to share a few more of the stories.
Absolutely. Can you make it a little more real by sharing something specific?
Yeah, so...
I know we don't want to focus on doom and gloom. I get that. But you know what? Sometimes there's nothing wrong with being taught as a... just don't play in the middle of the street. That's dangerous. Okay, that's some fear involved. Don't this is something really significant, Chris, and that's why we wanted to spend this time, invest this experience for our listeners, so they can really get the point across that. Look, guys, these are evil people coming after your equity. Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it's the same thing. People spoofed email addresses, IP addresses, their email. I mean, I have just instances here. We have an instance here, $175,000 that people wired their money to a fraudster. They thought they were wiring it to the title company. I mean, these are real life situations here. We had another couple that sent $46,000 in. They learned it was a spoofed IP address afterwards, showed up to closing, bad information. They were unable to buy the house. Had another couple, $272,000 they were paying cash for a house. These instances happen every single day. I mean, you and I, Monte and Carey Ann, we're talking about in little as 2 months, 3 to 4 instances that we've personally been involved in.
Exactly.
Imagine how big our industry is as a whole.
Exactly.
But
there's been 3 close ones in my office in the last 2 months.
Yeah. So if I'm sending money to somebody I've never met, you better believe I'm going to call you 100 times. Okay.
And I think that's where the focus needs to start. Heading at this point is how do we avoid this?
Right.
What can we do to avoid this from ever happening when we have the opportunity to wire funds?
Well, I love that both of you two understand the importance of this and how important it is to the customers that they're educated on this to do that. And I know Carey Ann and her team do a great job of informing people, hey, be on the lookout for this, do this. And you guys got that great form that you're telling people, you're educating people so they know right on the front end. But I always tell people, you can't call me enough if you're asking about where to send your money.
Right.
If you got to call me every single day, and I think that starts on the front end, you're providing our contact information for our company to the people and your customers individually. Call call this number. Don't call anybody else.
Right.
Don't email anybody else. You call this number. And then I always tell people, you call as many times as you deem necessary.
And I heard some other title companies send out wiring instructions and they're missing 3 digits on there on purpose.
Yep. Ours has 4, and you're supposed to call the office to complete the 4 digits on that. I had a realtor take me to task a couple weeks ago because they said it was inconvenient for their customer to call the office and have to get that. And
It's more inconvenient. To make a phone call or lose $100,000.
But as soon as that individual goes through one of these scenarios that you reference, they'll be very thankful for that inconvenience.
Well, that's what we do. We explain to people that. And once you explain it to people, because the average consumer just isn't aware of this, they're like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that.
I mean, how life was, it's just not the same anymore. You know, it's a little scarier, you know?
Yeah, so also just don't assume every email is legitimate.
Right.
You can't assume that it is. You need to confirm phone numbers. You need to confirm individuals that you're working with. Go to company websites. You can verify a lot of information off company websites itself. Look at the phone numbers. If you're not sure, call your agent, call your lender. Hey, I got this email over from such and such asking me to send money. Is this legitimate? You just can't be proactive enough. Ask lots of questions. You know, like I said, call every day. Look out for emails, email addresses that's not the name of the person on there. So if it says the email's coming from Chris Corvo, but it's something at AOL.com, there's a good chance that that's a spoofed email itself.
Right.
You know, education is just major. And also avoid free Wi-Fi's and free email accounts when you're doing this private type of business. Like I said earlier, Gmail accounts, you might as well scream from the corner what it is. And if you're at Wi-Fi's at Starbucks.
Really? Isn't that crazy?
I know.
I mean, so many. I mean, every app, it's at Gmail, you know? And if I see an at AOL, I'm like, I might have just figured out your age, you know?
Exactly.
Just at the application time, you know?
Yep.
So,
wow, what
but
a
I mean,
great
you see so
topic.
many. It really is.
Yeah, one more thing before we got to go. And then if you're sending copies of checks to people, realtors and stuff, after you made your earnest money deposits, not before, after, you can redact the account numbers and check numbers on your checks before sending anything electronically. And then that will protect people from getting copies of that.
Great, Chris. Such good information. Hey, so we're going to just take another short break here. We just thank you so much for listening tonight. Just solid information on what we're talking about here, wire fraud. When we come back, we want to talk about what to do if you are a victim. So you've been listening to the Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here, Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial.
And we're with Chris from Midtown Title, and we're talking about some scary topics, but we're going to get into more positive sides from here on, right?
Yeah, well, I hope so.
The first part is really important to wake up to the reality. There's some bad people out there trying to get your money, folks, and that's what we want to start with. But we also want to help you make sure that you avoid that. And probably the number one thing is to simply triple or double, triple, maybe even 4 times check the source that information is coming from. And before we go much further, Chris, how do the listeners get a hold of you?
So I can be reached in several different ways. Midtown Title, we're here located in downtown Nashville. We also have offices located throughout Middle Tennessee, Hendersonville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, Hermitage. And so you can get a hold of us by reaching our office at 615-921-8684. You can also go online and look at our website at midtowntitletn.com. We've got a great title fee calculator on there. Maybe you're in the market at trying to buy or sell or refinance your house. You can kind of see what title costs are. You can see why I have a face for radio on there. And so you can check that out. And you can see our staff on there. And we always post educational information on our site, too, for folks.
You know, Carey Ann, Chris has an office in our office now. You know, before, when we decided to invite a title company into our office space, because that's such an asset to have as a real estate brokerage that's running a lot of transactions. It's really important, I think, to have that constant presence in there of a professional. I used Midtown 3 times before I would go there. Right. I want to make sure that we had the right company, and we've only been pleased with what Midtown has done for us. It's been a great experience.
Yeah, they have I always say a good title company is the folks kind of behind the scenes, their back engine, and you've got an amazing processing crew there.
I've learned over the years that it doesn't matter how good a job I do, doesn't matter how much I might help somebody save through the transaction or what level of hero I might try to become if they have a bad experience at the closing table. That's what they remember. So that's why I'm always so critical on who is actually representing us at that most crucial time. And of course, it just got more crucially by magnitudes, with the topic we've talked about tonight. But thank you, Christopher. You guys do a great job.
Yeah, and for those folks that are just tuning in right now, just to kind of recap, a crazy statistic you just told us, 83% of people nowadays are receiving phishing attack emails, right?
Yes, and then there's been losses now totaling over $12 billion of people losing money, and not just in real estate schemes, but you're talking all kinds of schemes. You see
this
the
is
news.
just wire fraud?
Wire fraud schemes where people convince you to log into some site or convince you to send money to a offshore account somewhere.
Yeah. And so for all those real estate agents out there listening, education, and all those, lenders out there too, take a moment and educate. If it hasn't happened to you, it's like when you buy a red dress, you see red dresses everywhere, right? I mean, we're talking about it now. It's going to happen to your customer somewhere, and hopefully we catch it fast,
So let me throw this out there. If there are agents that are listening to us today and you have a Gmail account that's been hacked and the customer and your hacked email account convinces a buyer or seller to wire money somewhere, most realtors' E&O insurance does not cover wire fraud.
Oh.
So what that means is if they're found to be negligent in their processes or procedures, and it was because of their actions that caused the buyer or seller to do that, and the buyer or seller sued them, they could be held liable, and they got most of them have zero coverage protecting them. We have several, I know there's one case right now where one of the guys in our office, one of the attorneys in our office is litigating a case, and they got an expert witness in there, and basically the agent's going to be found negligent in the process and procedure, and this agent's already having to sell their house. They filed bankruptcy. They're basically going to lose everything.
So you're saying the Gmail is not secure. So how do I make my Gmail secure, or what can I, change? What can I do?
I feel like I'm picking on Gmail, and I'm really not picking on Gmail,
right.
To do that. But it's just a free account. But what you want to do is find emails that have dual authentication on there is what you need.
Dual authentication.
Okay. That's
Write
number
that down.
one. Big word.
Big word.
But basically that means two-factor sign in. So if you're signing in, it usually sends you a code to confirm that is you wanting to sign into your email. That's probably first and foremost. People say, which providers that are out there to do it? There's a ton of them that are out there to do it. You can pay Google to do that. You just got to pay to do that. So if you're
it might be worth the money to do that for sure. Yeah, put that in the budget.
So that's number one. Encryption services are another one.
Okay.
Carey Ann, you and I use encrypted emails all the time. And Monte, for your offices, y'all have some sort of program where people sign documents that's securely, like a dot loop. What program do you guys use?
We use dot loop.
Yeah. Dot loop. Okay. And so what that is, the secure connection that you and your clients are working on, where they sign documents, and in that portal, there's certain people that have access to that, and so that's a secure method that you're using there as well. So all of us in this industry are using secure services to be able to do that, but maybe the people we're communicating with aren't going.
Yeah, I mean, and you made a good point, offline, where when we have to slow down, the people that go so fast, and I'm one of them. I don't like to slow down and have to dual anything. I don't have time for that. Like double do this and password here and password there. So initially, it was very frustrating for me. I was like, what's my workaround? At the end of the day, we are all doing this to protect all of us. As soon as it happens so close to us, then it's, then we realize, and it's too late at that point, So take the time, don't be frustrated, educate everybody part of the transaction that we're better off double checking our work. We're better off using, the dual systems, et cetera, to really make sure that we're protecting not only ourselves, our hardworking jobs that we have, our licenses, everything that we've worked so hard for, and also protecting the client and their hardworking money. And their savings.
So if you are a victim, the best thing to do is to be proactive. Call right away. That's why I always tell people, before you send the money, call, confirm. After you send the money, call and confirm. Time is of the essence. Every single minute counts that money has left your account.
Before they ever give any instructions approval, they need to reach out to their closing attorney, right?
I would call them on the phone.
Call them right that moment.
Call at that moment. I'm at the bank. I'm in line at the bank getting ready to wire money. Can you talk to my banker and make absolutely sure that you guys have the right information?
So that 5
And they
minutes
won't get
could save you.
frustrated.
That 5 minutes could save you hundreds of thousands.
It's
of dollars.
going to catch almost everything if that happens to do that. If you found out that you did send money fraudulently somewhere, contact your bank. Contact the bank where the funds were sent to. So not only do you call your bank, you want to get on the phone with that bank or have your bank get on the phone with that bank to
as quickly as possible.
I'd contact the police to file a report, the title company if you're working with, and also you could go to the FBI. There's a wire fraud complaint form on there. I'm going to pick on the FBI a little bit. When we had that happen in our office, we did use it, and it was kind of pointless. They said fill out the form. We'll get back with you in a few weeks, which was not going to work. But what it does do, and why I say you do that, is because the FBI will investigate it. And about a month or so ago, a wire fraud ring in California was done. A sting was done, and they round up 200 or 300 people. You could find it online that were out committing wire fraud and sending money to South America. And so what it does is it helps the FBI track this stuff, and they may not fix it that time, but they're investigating this stuff and they're catching it, and eventually they're going to try to catch the folks that are doing this. And even if they shut them down, they may open up somewhere else, but at least you've shut down that avenue.
Yeah, that's huge.
And then the truth is, very few funds are ever recovered.
Oh, just heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. That's what got my attention last week when you were sharing about this local realtor that's having to file bankruptcy and losing everything because of simply just did not explain properly to the consumer of the risk.
Yeah, just didn't understand that there should be a process in place to explain that and educate. And the customer basically just said, "I did what you told me to do." And the customer, the realtor was like, I didn't even know this existed. So, but ignorance is not a defense,
right?
Okay, you can't plead ignorance and that be a defensible answer. So you have to be, as an agent, you have to be really, really cautious because you're the first line of defense talking to these people, and everything you tell them to do, they're going to do.
So, Carey Ann, on that topic here, before I forget, I've asked Chris to come to your office on the 3rd of October at 10 o'clock in the morning for all our local real estate professionals out there. And you're located next to Embassy Suites. Can you tell us real quickly?
Yeah, right next to Embassy Suites. We're on the 3rd floor, 810 Crescent Center in Franklin. We'd be honored to have any real estate agents who are open and wanting to have more education on this topic. Again, October 3rd, next Thursday, 10 a.m., free to you.
Can they call their number to your number?
Yeah, you actually can email at events@cmgfi.com. That's events@cmgfi.com. We'll save a seat for you. But this is a real important topic that we really want to make sure you're feeling confident about.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, guys. I love being on this show. You guys do such a great job, and I just thank you guys for educating the consumers out there because this stuff is real and it's scary, and you guys are providing a lot of helpful information. So hopefully you've saved somebody some grief.
Amen.
Well, yes, and we're just so grateful and appreciate you so much. Thank you to everybody for listening this evening. We're excited to have you come back next Sunday, 5 p.m. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.